Imagine a place where the earth itself is bleeding yellow acid, where the ground under your feet is a crust of salt hundreds of meters thick, and the air you breathe feels like it's coming out of a furnace at 55 degrees Celsius. This isn't a sci-fi movie about a distant, hostile planet. This is the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. National Geographic calls it the cruelest place on Earth. NASA studies it to understand how life might survive on Mars. But for thousands of men, this isn't a scientific curiosity. It's their office. Every single day, before the sun can even claim the sky, thousands of miners walk into this white hell. They aren't looking for gold or diamonds. They are after something much older. Something that once bought empires and started wars. Salt.
Today, we are going deep into the lowest, hottest, and most inhospitable place on the planet to witness a trade that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years. This is the story of the Afar people, the men who challenge death every day for the white gold of the desert. Before we descend into the heat, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you well-researched, clear stories that show the real struggles and resilience of ordinary people. To understand why this place is so extreme, we have to look at the ground itself. The Danakil Depression is a geological freak of nature. It sits at the junction of 3 tectonic plates that are slowly pulling away from each other. The Earth here is literally tearing itself apart. Because the land is sinking, much of the Danakil sits at 125 meters below sea level. Millions of years ago, this entire area was flooded by the Red Sea. But as the Earth shifted and the mountains rose, the sea was cut off. In the blistering African sun, the water evaporated, leaving behind a massive prehistoric salt lake that dried up into a solid crust. In some places, this salt layer is 3 kilometers deep. When you stand on the salt flats of the Danakil, you are standing on the remains of an ancient ocean. But it's not just salt. Beneath this crust lies active volcanic activity. You have the Dalol volcano, where hydrothermal fountains pour out boiling water, sulfur, and iron, creating a landscape of neon yellows, greens, and reds. It looks beautiful, but the fumes are toxic, and the water is acidic enough to dissolve your boots. This is the factory where the Afar people work. It is a place that wants to kill you, yet it provides the only lifeblood this region has ever known. The Afar people are legendary for their toughness. They have to be. In the Danakil, there is no such thing as a comfortable day. The work begins at 4 a.m., because by 10 a.m., the temperature will hit 45 degrees Celsius, and by noon, it can reach a staggering 55 degrees Celsius. At these temperatures, the human body begins to fail. Sweat evaporates so instantly that your skin feels dry, even as your internal organs are screaming for hydration.
The tools they use are prehistoric. A wooden pole to pry up the salt crust and a small hand axe to shape it. First, they break the hard top crust into massive slabs. Then, with surgical precision, they carve these slabs into perfect rectangular tiles called a mole. Each tile must weigh between 4 to 7 kilograms, the maximum a camel can carry efficiently over a 75-kilometer journey. The salt is as sharp as glass. One slip and your hands are sliced open. In this environment, a small cut is a nightmare. The salt gets into the wound immediately, causing agonizing pain and slowing down the healing process. Most miners work in thin plastic sandals or barefoot, their skin hardened like leather by decades of salt and sun.
Cutting the salt is only half the battle. The next phase is the logistics, the legendary salt caravans. Every day, a silent army of nearly 2,000 camels and 1,000 donkeys descends into the depression. Each camel is loaded with about 30 to 40 salt tiles. That's nearly 200 kilograms of weight on a single animal.
Once loaded, the journey to the trading town of Barahile begins. It is a 75-kilometer trek through a canyon of rock and sand. There are no rest stops, no shaded groves, just a 3-day walk under a sun that feels like a physical weight on your shoulders. The relationship between the Afar miner and his camel is one of mutual survival. If the camel dies, the family's income for the month vanishes. If the miner collapses, the caravan loses its guide. They walk through riverbeds that have been dry for months, but they must always be on guard. Because the Danakil is so low, if it rains in the distant Ethiopian highlands, a wall of water, a flash flood, can roar down these dry canyons with zero warning, sweeping away men, camels, and white gold in seconds. It is hard to believe, but for centuries, these salt blocks were the money of Ethiopia. Long before paper cash or coins, an amole bar could buy you grain, clothes, or even cattle. It was a stable, universal currency. Today, the economics are much harsher. After cutting 200 tiles in 50-degree heat and walking them across a desert, a miner might walk away with just $5 to $10. Think about that. For the price of a coffee in a modern city, these men endure the most extreme physical labor known to man. Why do they do it? In the Danakil, there are no factories. There are no offices. The land is too salty for crops and too dry for most livestock. Salt is the only thing the earth gives them. It is a cycle of poverty and resilience that has lasted for generations. But modern times are finally catching up. New roads are being carved into the desert. Trucks are starting to appear, doing in 2 hours what a camel does in 3 days. While this might seem like progress, for many Afar, it's a threat to their entire way of life and the only job they've ever known.
The story of the Danakil isn't just a story about a mineral or a desert. It's a testament to the human spirit. It shows us that humans can adapt to almost anything if the survival of their family is on the line. These miners don't see themselves as victims of a harsh environment. They see themselves as the masters of it. They are proud, they are tough, and they carry a quiet dignity that most of us will never understand. As we sit in our air-conditioned rooms, it's easy to forget that the world is still built on the backs of men like these. Men who work one salt tile at a time under a sun that never shows mercy. Nearly a century after the first modern accounts of the Danakil salt trade, the work continues much as it always has, by hand under the blazing sun. If you were offered $1,000 just to spend one full day working alongside these miners in 55-degree heat, do you think your body and mind could handle it? Or have we become too soft in our modern world? Tell me your honest thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment and reply to as many as I can. If you want more videos like this, real, informative, and deeply researched stories from around the world, you already know what to do. Subscribe, drop your honest thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.